The story of strawberry farms in photonic water, the use of coherent, changed, transformed water, we're continuing to learn. And sometimes the best learning is done over time. It's been about over 2.5 months since we first came to Port Hueneme, California, to see and actually see some of the immediate effects of putting a photonic water transformation device onto this strawberry field. Now, about 2.5 months later, the changes have continued to occur, and the wonderment has simply accumulated. They've just grown and grown and grown. Enough so that we wanted to come back and we needed to talk. In fact, we now want to talk to the grower to share some of his thoughts and observations on what has occurred. All right, first of all, we have been amazed to see and follow and chart what's happened with your field, Steve. Now, last name again?
Higashi.
Steve Higashi. Tell us how you have seen this and what you've noticed.
Well, we put this your system in here around the 1st of March, and in this area that you're looking at right now is generally I have a very difficult time with it. It has a high water table, and that brings a lot of other problems along with it, stunting, plant die-out. So in March we had some damage already, which is I'm used to it because it's always happening every year.
Okay, this has been a perennial condition then.
Yes. So approximately a month later, after installing the system, I'm noticing the plants starting to green up again. Starting to green up, and they're starting to produce more flowers. And in general, for each time of the year, April, May, and now June, it's the best I've seen it in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So it is something that's I think we can attribute it to your system that we installed.
Well, yeah, especially when we start seeing this is happening each year, and because it oftentimes seems just like too almost ridiculous to think that a change in water or the quality of the water could bring about such a significant. I mean, we've seen the change in the bricks, for example. But it's not just that either, and now they're even picking up. They're starting to seem like they're standing up. They're starting to get taller or something like that.
Yeah, the plant's cycling back into production stage, and it's also growing back, setting itself up for production. And we're a little bit. I'm surprised that we're at this stage, at this late in the game. In our area, we already have, in this particular varieties, we already have guys that have chopped up their fields.
Okay.
Already, because they haven't been able to make it back into the production cycle again.
Now, one of the other things that Joseph had suggested, or not suggested, but observed, was that they weren't decaying or something like that. I guess because you stopped fertilizing a while ago, but they would just simply begin to shrink. But it's almost like they were like candied strawberries or something.
That's when the plant is healthy. It's using everything it's supposed to. Even when it gets old and it starts to desiccate.
Right.
If it's healthy and there's not a lot of disease in the plant, that's what they'll do. They'll just desiccate, dry, and pour away. When it's not healthy, you'll end up getting inoculated by some kind of bacteria, disease, and start forming.
But you're going to be breaking it down, essentially.
Breaking it down, forming fungus, rot, botrytis. And that generally happens when the plant balance isn't there. That's why in turn we end up having to spray more often. So if we can keep a healthy plant, pretty sure it goes without saying that you do not have to spray as often also. But that's going to take time here on out to determine. Hopefully it would help eliminate some spray jobs, maybe not 100%, but we could use less.
Have you noticed to what extent this might have had an effect on how much water you actually use? I mean, I know we've seen, just as an example, we've on a number of like a dairy situation, a dairy farm, on some turkey farms, they noticed that the cattle were drinking significantly less water, and this was actually in Arizona, where the water was right at the beginning of the wintertime, summer last year. So it was hot, but they drank much less water. Now, I know we weren't noticing this or monitoring, but is there a way to determine if you even need to use as much water?
Usually around this time of year, we're watering maybe once a day for either 45 minutes to an hour, or maybe for an hour and a half, and then off for a day, and then come back and water again, depending on the temperature.
Sure.
This year, up to this point, we're watering about an hour and a half every 2 to 3 days. Sometimes I'll wait a fourth day. And we're nothing scientific about what we do. We just kind of go out and look at the field and poke around the ground and see where the moisture is. Looking at this right now, it's wet underneath, but I know I need to water. We need to water this, and I watered this probably 2 days ago. 2 days. So today would be the third day. So I'll either water tomorrow or the day after.
I see.
So,
wow. Well, this is really amazing to see, and to see it on the scale that it is, because I mean we have an understanding that this type of behavior should be expected, but it's always great. It becomes a theory until you actually see it, So to be able, and I appreciate you being willing to talk about this, and being, first of all, willing to allow it to be here, so we can both learn how it works and what the potential is.
Yeah, like I said, for me, within the 2.5 months it's been here, I've been able to see it here, and I go to my next block where it's not there. There's plant size difference, flowering, more flowers. So that's something this side has that side doesn't have. And it's definitely showing up more here. So it was telling me something. Enough so that this next year I probably need to expand the program and try to cover as much acreage as I can. Pick my problem spots first and go from there and work on them. I'm kind of anxious to see what it's going to do if we start from day one, and not March, which was already half our season already gone.
Wow, yeah, you start thinking about, and that's a nice thing too. I believe this is helping us shift our understanding, or even our expectations of how farming is done. I mean, when you start to realize you can get this kind of output out of just with the addition of healthy water. I mean, people are using less chemicals. We're finding that the pests go away. The fellow who had fire ants go away, for example. There are all kinds of things that unintended benefits, unanticipated benefits, as opposed to the unintended consequences of things. So anyway, we'll keep watching and learning as it goes on. But anyway, Steve, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Definitely.
You're welcome.